Hi, Sharks. Happy Money Monday. It is Financial Sharktress Galitza Deek. I told you that this week we are going to be talking about how to get your credit score up. So that's what I want to do this week. I also just want to let you know that if anything is going on with you right now, financially, or you want to talk about something, I am available in the group on these comments. If you want to hear about a topic that matters to you, I'm totally open. So, normally, the way these Money Mondays go, right, is something is happening with me that week and I want to share, or it's a topic that I know is really important. So, I like to, make sure that I talk about it. Hi, Irene. Um, but I am also open to topics. And if I don't know enough about it, I will bring somebody on here that does know about it. So please keep that in mind. And I am super available for that. So if you want to, you can contact me on Facebook. You can Financial Sharktress Galit Sadiq. You can contact me through my private profile, Galit Howard. You can contact me on Instagram, financial_sharktress, by email, galit@financialsharktress.com. You can comment on this video and I will see it and I will make sure that I, take care of your topic. So let's get into credit scores. So we know that a good credit score is important, right? It basically is what tells somebody that wants to give us a loan or a mortgage or even an apartment. A credit score tells them how trustworthy you are. Now, I get that it's not everything and it doesn't really measure how trustworthy you are, but it does measure how good you are with money and how trustworthy you are with money. And you want to be seen as the least risk possible, which means you want the highest credit score, because with a high credit score comes benefits, right? You're going to get lower interest rates on loans, on credit cards. You will be in the running for, let's say, apartments. A lot of apartments now, especially now, ask for credit scores before they will, on your application, before you can even get an apartment, you need to give them a credit score. And if they don't like what they see, you might not get that place to live, which sucks, but it is a reality of the life that we live. Okay, so some of my biggest tips on how to improve your credit score fast. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are using the least amount of your credit possible. So when I say that, I mean, let's say your credit limit, you've got 5 credit cards and your credit limit is $1,000. What you want to do is be using under 30% of your total credit limit. So let's say you've got 1,000 on each card. If you want to be using under 30%. The highest credit scores use under 7% of their total available credit. And that means an easy way to build that is ask for a higher credit limit. You can do that. You can literally today call up your credit card companies and see if they'll give you a higher credit limit. And that'll automatically reduce the amount that you're using. Now, when you get that higher credit limit, I do not want you to use more of your credit card. I want you to keep what you're doing right now, what you're spending right now in the credit card. I want you to keep it the same. Just because you got a higher credit limit does not mean that you should be using more of it. you should not. Biggest factor, on-time payments. That is like the hands down biggest thing. So even if you cannot pay it in full every month, I want you to set an automatic payment for at least the minimum. That way, you've got an on-time payment no matter what. Then I want you to also go in maybe a couple times and if you made a big purchase, try to see if you could pay it off quickly. Go in and maybe pay it off twice a month instead of just on the due date. Go in, put a little bit at the beginning of the month or on the 15th, and then, another 2 weeks and pay a little bit more. But the less that you use, the higher your credit score will be. Irene asked a question. Is it best to consolidate, or after calling each card to lower your interest and won't budge? I am all for trying to consolidate your debt. So you can go to nerdwallet.com. I love nerdwallet.com. If you've been following me, you know I'm a big proponent of their website. I absolutely love it, and I get nothing from them, right? I do not have an affiliate link with them. I do not anything. It is just because I love how much it's like a wealth of knowledge and information, and you can look it all up yourself. So what I would do in a situation like that, if you're trying to consolidate and you can't get them to lower your interest rates, and you need some time to pay things off without it accruing interest, what you can do is look up which credit cards will give you, if you open it up, 0% interest on a balance transfer, and get it for the longest term that you can get. So I have had clients get up to 21 months on a balance transfer with 0% interest for the first 21 months. You will find ones for 6 months, for 12 months, for 18 months. Those are fine too if that's the only thing that you qualify for. But get the highest limit that you could possibly get, and then transfer the chunk of money over. And then that gives you time to pay it off without it accruing more interest. So also you can do, if you qualify for a personal loan, you can also take out a personal loan from a bank with a much lower interest rate than what you're paying on your credit cards. So if your credit is not great, you are probably paying 29% interest, 25% interest. Sometimes even if your credit is good, you're paying those amounts. If you've got revolving debt, if you have debt that you can't pay off every month, you can definitely look into getting a personal loan and paying some of that off. You can also look into, one of the things that I was offered, I didn't take them up on it because I didn't need it at the time. But when you refinance your mortgage, let's say you have a mortgage, you can actually use some of that money to pay off your debt. They can roll it into your mortgage and you'll get a much lower rate and be able to pay off that debt. Right now, I will say, is not the time to refinance a mortgage. The interest rates are way high. You can wait, and they will go down. It'll be a few years, but that's something to just hold in mind because you can do that. Another thing that you can do is you can do what my grandmother did for me when I spoke to you a little bit about it last week, but my grandmother did this for me when I was 17 and I was just trying to get started with credit and had no credit cards, had no credit score, had nothing. What she did was she added me as an authorized user. Now, you can add somebody, you can be added as an authorized user. And if you have good credit, you can add somebody as an authorized user on one of your cards. You don't ever even have to give them the card. Okay, in my case, my grandmother did give me the card, but I had a supervisor. My mother was my supervisor. She taught me how to use my credit, and she made sure that it got paid off every month. You don't actually have to give them the credit card. So let's say you get added on as an authorized user. They don't ever have to give you the credit card. You don't have to use it at all. But just the fact that it is there and being paid on time under somebody else's account, now you have a positive thing on your credit report. I personally recommend, if they do give it to you, if they trust you to do that, right? Make small charges on your credit. So I don't know, give yourself a maximum. Give yourself, like, if you know you can do $100 a month, just charge $100 a month on that card, and that's it. And for that, so you're gonna wanna be a little bit more cognizant of what you're spending. So make sure you have the app on your phone and you're monitoring it, or so what I do is, and I have this for all of my bank accounts and my credit cards, basically everything. Anything that goes into or out of my accounts or gets charged on my credit card that is more than 1 penny or is 1 penny and over, I get a text message. And right away, it's in my head. Like right away, first of all, it helps catch fraud, because right away I know if somebody is charging something that shouldn't be charged. But also, I get a mental sense of like how much I'm spending, right? So the other thing that you can do, right, if you want to make sure that you don't spend over a certain amount, you can get what's called a secured credit card, which is kind of like a prepaid credit card. So you can only spend, this would be the case if, so this is kind of like a debit card, right? A debit card pulls from your bank account. If you don't have money in your bank account, your debit card is not going to swipe. It is going to be declined unless you have overdraft protection. And if you go into overdraft protection, that's something else. But in general, the idea with the debit card is it's going straight out of your checking account, right? If the money isn't there, it's not going to go through. A secured credit card is basically the same thing, and you prepay. So you put the money in up front, and then you can swipe until you deplete the funds. Once you deplete the funds or you need more, you just have to keep adding to that. Either way, it is a line of credit for you that is then shown on your credit report. I'm going to stop here for today. I would love to take any questions. So if anybody's there and has a question, I mean, I am here. I gave you all my contact methods. This is part 1 of making sure that you can get the highest credit score. I'm going to be coming back next week to answer more questions. So if you've got them, bring them, send them to me, DM me, comment on this video, however you want to get it to me, get it to me. Next week, we're going to be talking about other ways to bring up your credit. So like maybe disputing things and how to go about that, checking your credit score and making sure that the right things are on it, getting collections taken off, all those kinds of stuff. So that is going to be for next week. I'm going to keep it somewhat short. I try to keep these Money Mondays like 20 minutes or less. just because I know that it's late and not everyone has the brain capacity. And then I see you every Wednesday on Galit for my Galit Speaks podcast. And then you got to listen to me for like a whole hour. So please, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. I am always checking. I'm always responding. So please feel free. Do not feel shy about it. Everyone has the same questions. If you ask them, you'll realize, and that's why I love Money Buddies, right? I love Money Buddies because we don't realize how much we don't know, right? And once you start asking your friends, once you start asking your money buddy, you either realize that they know it and then they can teach you, and then maybe you know something that they don't know and you can teach them, or you realize you guys have the same questions because guess what? We haven't been taught any of it. And that's what I want, what I'm here to change. I want to make sure that you are financially literate and that you can get yourself the best deals. You can get yourself the best life. You can make sure that you achieve every goal that you set out for. All right. On that note, have a great Money Monday. I will see you next week for part 2 of credit scores. And I'm here if you need me. Bye, everyone.